Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at jonnydelsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. All right, welcome in. Today is May 10th. So we are getting ever so closer to the schedule release. We were talking about that before the show. We will go into that as soon as that schedule releases. Our very first show, we will dive into that as I want to try and get to some games. So I'm excited for that. Thanks to those boosting the algorithm. Always good to see Hugo and Marcos. What's up, everybody?
And there's this guy Adam in the chat too, who's boosting the algorithm.
Yeah,
I mean, he seems to always be there. Always.
Yeah. So odd. What an oddball. But he loves the Niners. So bang, bang. So I was excited. We were talking through what we wanted to go through today. And when you said you had some film on these dudes, I was like, oh, I'm kind of excited. So that's what we're going to do today. Go over some film from the Senior Bowl, and then we'll get into some questions and answers. So you got the questions. Johnny has the answers. I provide the comedic relief, and I'm here for my good looks.
Comedic
So
relief.
I will hold together the questions and we'll get them answered. So if you guys have questions regarding the state of the team, the NFL, I know it's kind of some downtime. And so, but if there's questions in general that you guys have, today is definitely the day to get your questions in, and we will get them organized. Today is the day. It is a Friday. So, Johnny, how's it going? You got some film for us?
I do. I have some film for you. So when you go to the Senior Bowl and you're there as a credentialed media member, they give you access to some of their film and things, because they have these people that are they're taking highlights all around the field the whole time at the Senior Bowl. They put a few clips out on social media. They do an okay job as far as some of it. So there's some angles that are really good here. I wish they just had showed all the receiver DB one-on-ones, all the lineman one-on-ones from these angles down on the field. It gets a little murkier in some of these team clips as they're just kind of trying to follow the ball. But we do have some clips here of these guys, of them at the Senior Bowl. And so we're going to dive in with some of these clips. If I can get my ticker rolling, there it is on the bottom. We're trying to up our technological game over here. So this is from the Senior Bowl. This was from, I believe it was Wednesday at the Senior Bowl. And here we're looking at Dominic Puni. So Puni, however people want to say his name. But here he is. He's playing center. So bear in mind on that. That I know there's been talk going back and forth and around with different people about him being a tackle, and that, they said that Colton McKivitz was drafted to play guard and he's a tackle. And they said Spencer Burford was drafted to play tackle and he's been a guard. Or that he was drafted to play inside and he's really more of a tackle. Well, I think with Dominic, really his better position is really inside. I think that's where he really started to shine at the Super Bowl. Some of the deficiencies he has as far as footwork were not being exposed nearly as much when he was inside versus at tackle against some of these pretty good edge rushers that they had collectively at the Senior Bowl. Now, there's been some comments I've seen from people about, okay, well, does this mean that we can move Spencer Burford out to tackle, that he will be able to move it out from guard? I will tell you, Spencer Burford's issues is that he's a grabber and he's a bender. He doesn't move his feet very much in pass protection, and that will not get better at tackle. That will get worse at tackle. And so I really don't like the idea of Spencer Burford at tackle. But here is we'll see Dominic Puni at so this is what I like about him. Versatile offensive lineman. You can see him immediately pick up the slide and go help. And here's what you like, okay? Good base. He doesn't get too far back, too far forward, that he's keeping his weight over his knees, that he's keeping it as a really good base. And this is what helps him anchor. So he's able to, from a good base, get up into the lineman. Now I know he's getting some help here, but this was something I saw over and over again. And one of the reasons why I grabbed this clip here was because you see what the traits of what makes him a good pass protector, that he's able to get engage with the defensive tackle, use some of that what length he has against some of those shorter armed guys of defensive tackles, hold him off with a good base, and he's going to move his feet and keep from getting dominated too much there. And then when the guy comes for a spin move, negates him. There's Sam Hartman getting the ball batted down. But that is clip one from the Senior Bowl. So again, now I believe he's over here playing guard on this one. Wow, that just drug the. Why are you doing that? No, I'm not clicking. Why? Okay.
Yes, you are. We know you are.
That's some technical difficulties right there. This is Kingsley Aguakun. Oh, sorry, that I don't know what happened. Here he is playing right guard. So that's where you'll be able to see him here. We'll see playing right guard. Now this was a situation. This is not the most impressive rep, but what I do like is that he's checking inside and then he's kicking out to help. This was something we did not see at the Super Bowl with the 49ers. And so there he is, heads up player. He understands blocking schemes. This was, I believe, Thursday's practice. They were in shorts on Thursday's practice, so that's how I can tell on that one. They're able to understand blocking schemes on all positions. Now, he's going to be over here playing right guard again. And he's got, again, what I like about him is he's firing out low on these blocks. They're selling a little kind of what we would call belly play, where it's going to look like a zone one way and you come back on the other, an inside handoff. I like the way his pad level when he fires out in run blocking. It's something I like to see. Now here he is again. He's going to be over here playing right guard. Again, this is from Thursday's practice. I am not on this side. That is where all the team executives were. Steph Sanchez was over here spotting out 49ers executives and personnel people on the other sideline like crazy. It was wild doing that. But again, what you like here? He's getting a bull rush, but he doesn't panic. Again, good base. He keeps a strong base, doesn't give up too much leverage. He's still able to keep his hand position, and so he never loses this rep. It's getting I'm going to draw this back again. He never loses this rep. And this was against Dwayne Carter from North Carolina. So you know who he's going against. Is it even when he gets hit with the bull rush or panics, he still anchors and he gives his quarterback enough time to get the ball off. See, Sam Hartman was able to get the ball out, completion. Even though he lost initially, was a little bit surprised by the bull rush. His good base, his good hand placement kept him from losing the rep. He never panicked. That's what I like about him. So here he is again. I believe he's playing right guard again on this one. which is where I project him to be for the 49ers. Now to the very next rep. He was ready for that bull rush. Look at how much more stout he is on this. So this is the very next rep. He's stonewalled Dwayne Carter against that bull rush. So you're seeing improvement from one rep to the next against the same guy, that even though he didn't lose, he's now absolutely dominating this rep. Keeps him in there, stuffs him, easy completion, plenty of time for Sam Hartman and get the ball out. So this is what we like about Dominic Puni. He is a player that is an exceptional anchor. Now he's back here again playing center. So we see him moving right guard, left guard, center. This is from Wednesday's practice. So again here, and he's sliding over, and now he's picking up this defensive tackle one-on-one. So again, good anchor. We like the balance. We like the way that he's setting on this. He doesn't get too high. He's able to balance. And again, stonewall the rush. Easy completion for the quarterback. That's what you love to see. Plays with control in pass blocking. Now here in left guard. So he's back over here. Again, taking this pass rusher on one-on-one initially, knows he's got inside help from Kingsley Aguakin, who was somebody that I was a little high on coming out of this, but he didn't go anywhere. So maybe I was wrong on him. He did get worked. Kingsley Aguakin did a few times. Again, he understands the scheme. He understands his pass blocking, doesn't panic. Good base. Look at this base. Now compare that to the tackle out here. That is what we're talking about. Compare it to this guy over here. Not good. Puni, he's got that base that you love to see. Got the good knee bend. His hip nice and low. Hit it, and then he understands he's got inside help, so he's looking back, looking to help this tackle if there's an inside spin move. He understands how to play these blocking systems within their scheme. Plenty of time to get the ball out. They're working red zone here, and then look at him coming at the end. There he is. Drive him into the end zone. Love it. Love it. First one down, drives the ball carrier into the end zone. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Love it.
And so,
yeah, some good stuff.
Jumping in late. For anybody jumping in late, we are looking at a couple clips of Dominic Puni from the Senior Bowl and also of Jacob Cowing. We're going to get to those right after this. And we're also doing a question and answer show. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We're going to address any questions people have at this time of the year. It's been a little bit of a slow week, but if there's anything from the past couple months that you've been like, Johnny, I've been trying to ask this question and you have not answered this question, throw it in there. I'm bad about that sometime. Adam's going to help keep an eye on the chat for that too with some of this, but we're looking at Dominic Puni. He's over here again, left guard. Now they're going to run this ball right behind him. This is one of the reps that I wasn't super happy with. He gets a little bit high on his fire out here, and he doesn't keep a good engage throughout the whole thing. He got just a little bit high here. You don't like to see that. You're trying to run behind him in the red zone. So let's slow this down even a little bit more. We'll go to quarter speed. That was half speed. So he gets a little bit high, needs to drive more with his hips. He kind of has to reach out to the second level. And then there's just a schmoz here of players. I think they get stopped just short of the goal line. And because you can see he lost engagement. Now he's at the back of the pile. Yeah. That's not the greatest. Now he does okay rep. That's an okay rep. That's not a great rep, but it's an okay rep. And so you kind of seeing what we like from Dominic Puni is that he's a great anchor in the pass blocking. He keeps good leverage. He doesn't panic, and he understands the blocking scheme within the entirety of the offensive line. That is such a big factor that we sometimes forget. Oh my goodness, I totally made Adam the small head. Um,
Ah,
but looking at like where where some of our deficiencies were down the stretch in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, was guys not understanding their assignments all the way in pass pro at center guard. We were having some serious issues. It cost us a Super Bowl win. So seeing what he brings, I see an immediate upgrade, at least over Spencer Burford. I think he would be a push with Aaron Banks. And personally, I would love to see him be able to absorb the playbook and take over for Jake Brendel at center and let John Feliciano play guard. That would be my ideal right now.
yeah, I'm excited to just get new linemen in there and change it up and see if they can challenge what we have, just because we know that they're not up to par. So after watching some of this tape, yeah, it gets you excited to see once they get going. There is I saw the footage. Did you guys see the footage of all the rookies kind of came together a little bit? Like, it just gets you excited. You're just excited to see these guys, see what they can do, with, of course, our number one pick Pearsall, and see thrown into the mix of the receivers and all that. Remember what we're doing right now. We're going over Dominic Puni's film from the Senior Bowl. We're going to get into Cowan as well, in a second, but just want to remind you guys, remember to boost the algorithm as Lisa just did. Thank you, Lisa. Hashtag JD49. Remember, if you are listening to this on wherever you get your podcasts, remember the more fun way is to catch us on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and be a part of the 22,000 that already have made the smart decision in subscribing to the channel, as well as new things coming very soon. Stay tuned. Hey, Randy C, always representing the 415. Love it. Also, our the website JFA 49, new stuff will be coming here. Um, Hopefully sooner than later. Me and Johnny are working on some stuff, so stay tuned. If you have not checked out the website, be sure to check out the website at jfa49.com. Johnny, what else do you have for us?
So yeah, um, we're now going to jump to some clips here from Jacob Cowing, where he's doing some one-on-ones with defensive backs in route running. Now, what I do like about this, and again, this is why I wish they would just produce these angles for us, for every single one-on-one. I've seen angles from this perspective because you can see everything as far as leverage, hip drops,
Mhm.
where their feet placement a little bit better. You can just see everything really clearly. This is from the end zone. This was the south end zone, if I remember right. I was sitting somewhere over here, way up in that area. Now, not up in there, like close to where they were doing this. But here's this is going to be a little bit of good, a little bit of bad for Jacob Cowing. Why he was a later round pick, but also showing what makes you excited about him. I don't like all this wasted movement. He gets a little flaily here at the release. Now this is some red zone work, but he's going to get in here. Is just kind of flailing around. It's a lot of wasted movement. Get up in this guy. Don't sit here and flail around. Force this cornerback to commit with his hips. You're not trying to get this guy to turn his head. You're trying to get him to turn his hips. If you can get this defensive back to turn his hips, you've won immediately. So there's a little bit of movement in here. You're going to see this a lot of wasted movement in the low end. Hasn't moved this guy's hips at all. It's all up in here. A lot of flailing. Don't love it. Don't like that. What I want to see is more precise, intentional movement. So you see he's getting in here, and what that's causing is he's getting really, really wide with his feet here. That it slows down the cuts. It slows him down to engage and force this corner to make a decision, and then it's going to slow him in his cut. So he needs to get a little bit more efficient in his movements here. But even with that, he's going against Chow Smith Wade here, who was drafted by the Panthers, 157th overall. Okay. That once he makes that break, he's gone. He's a separator. What I do like there is that he's separated out, makes a nice catch. If it's a little bit better of a ball, he maybe is able to turn upfield. What you like about him. But if you notice, he doesn't have a lot. He really never out leveraged the corner who's able to stay in a position to go attack and keep him from turning upfield. Again, he never threatened in here and never pushed this corner's hips inside. So you see the burst is there. You see the catching ability is there. Again, if he's able to catch that on the run, maybe he's able to turn and score, but it's pretty much just like a 3-yard completion there for Jacob Cowing. So those are the things I don't like with him, but also show what he can do. Here he is. Now this is where he's got to be able to learn to play as a big guy or above his weight. This is where he starts having problems. So what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and sell a little outbreaker and then break in, almost like a lookie route here. And where you start to see him struggle is he's a little undersized. So when it comes to fighting through contact, it's not there. You see him again, some wasted movement in here. He does a good job of breaking there, but now he's got to fight through contact, kind of work through it. Can't do it. So good rep there by Chow Smith. Even if initially able to get physical and prevent the catch. But this is where Jacob Cowing is going to struggle is you're not going to use him as a guy to work through contact. What teams are going to try and do is get physical with him at the line, get physical with him through the catch points. Now there's some grabbing. You could make an argument there for PI. You need to work through this contact. You got to get your big boy pads on, get in the weight room, a little bit less wasted movement. And I mean, I like how he can stick his foot in the ground and turn, but he's got to work through this contact. It's a good ball. It's in a good spot. Need to get through there. And so I'm gonna star that question there from Invader. Pause now. Just give me 1 sec here. I want to keep all these questions in order. Where's your question, Invader? I'm gonna star it so I can come back to it.
Yeah.
Just trying to look. So what do you think about those two clips there, Adam?
Yeah. I want to point out Zach, who was late. You also threw him under the bus, like by saying after seeing some of the comments come in, you were like, and if you're late, and I immediately thought of Zach, like, oh, are you just
I
calling him
was
out?
not
So
calling
I'll just
anybody out by name, and
well,
I
I'll be
understand
sure.
sometimes you can't always jump in the first 5 minutes. I was not calling it. I not do what Adam just did and totally
So
call somebody out
I'll explain
by
now. Here's
name.
what happened. Now here's sir, those of you that were joining. What happened was what I thought was funny. Zach came in like a hair late and said, "What I miss?" And in the chat, I said, "We just gave away Niner season tickets."
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
like, yeah.
That was cold, man. Like,
So like,
dang.
haha, obviously joking. And then but all that to say, what I wanted to point out, the first thing honestly that I noticed was that was a good rep from the DB. I don't know who that
Yeah,
was,
that was
but
Chow
that
Smith Wade again. Again, he went 157th overall to the Panthers.
okay.
Uh, so um, he was I believe he was a late fourth, early fifth. I'm trying to remember exactly where that slotted at 157th overall.
Sure.
That would be late fourth round is where he or excuse me, that would be late 5th round is where he ended up slotting. Now,
No,
Jacob
he may
Cowing
not.
again
He might not
was
make the
was
team.
yeah, I mean, on the Panthers he will.
Right. Yeah.
But Jacob, again, Jacob Cowing, it's why you're seeing him as a later round pick too. Now, yes, that was a good rep by Chow Smith Wade. But you're talking about two guys who both ended up going later in the round. So neither of these were first, second round, third round guys. And you're seeing why. That even with all that wasted movement in the first rep, Cowing still beats Smith Wade. Then on the second one, he's able to beat Smith Wade, but then can't work through the contact. So there's some good and bad. There's good and there's bad with both of these. Cowing is somebody that I think here's what he can bring. So we're gonna come back to this next rep. This is what I really like from him. Now, when he's a little bit more efficient, see he's working vertically a little bit sooner, and then when he plants his foot and goes, he's gone. So this is against a corner. Again, this is Chow Smith Wade again, going after each other over and over and over again in this practice. But here's what you like. Okay, get vertical sooner. Force this corner to commit. He's got some false steps there, but now he gets it. See, he gets the corner just sit, be flat-footed, non-committal. Once he breaks,
over.
again, no
It's over.
contact. This is where when he's into this break and he's able to get in here, sink his weight. I like how he sinks his weight on the cut and then explodes out of that cut. It's gone. It's done. Like throws a little bit behind him. Still doesn't matter.
Too
Plenty
much
of
speed.
space. Plenty of space to
Too
get
much.
that ball in there. That's at quarter speed. Okay, so let's watch this at speed. You'll see how quick he is. Boom, gone. Okay, that is what you like to see from Jacob Cowing. That is what he brings. Big shout out here, Dre Area Sports. Went on his show last week. We had a great time, simulcasted on here. So I want to give a shout out. He's in the chat. Go check out his channel. But that's what I like about Jacob Cowing is that if again, this is where the struggle is going to be for him is how do we keep him from getting jammed up at the line, and can he stay on time with these releases? There's not too much wasted movement. He's able to get into the corner a little bit quicker as far as making him commit to turn those hips, because if he can use that speed that he has there, that separating ability out of the break, that's where you're going to see him really shine. It's going to be able to can he keep from getting disrupted and get down the seam where we can put him in the slot and he can get down the seam, or we put him outside and he can work off of that out from maybe a bump and run and start threatening that deep safety sooner, which is what we've needed. We needed that from Danny Gray. He could not get on the field. He's a terrible route runner, terrible run blocker.
Yeah.
Two things you cannot have in this 49ers offense. We had Marquise Goodwin that did that before when he was healthy and he was able to be out there. We saw some big explosive plays down the field, even with CJ Beathard at quarterback. So we need that area to really step up, and you can see it. It's there. The potential is there. The potential is there to bring this added speed element that you can also then maybe give this guy the ball out of the backfield or in some of these screens and see what he can do. He has that separator ability, that burst to that a second and third gear that a lot of guys don't have. So can you allow him to use that? Can he find a way to work through some of that contact, through some of the things, the wasted movement, some of the issues there that you see? If he can, I think he could be a really, really spicy addition to this wide receiver core.
Yeah, it is state law here in well, we're not, both of us are not in California, but we're pretending we are. So state law is anytime CJ
I'm not
Beathard
pretending.
is yeah. CJ Beathard is mentioned, it is law that we have to always thank him for his services, as that is how we got Brock Purdy, because if you remember, him going to Jacksonville gave us that last pick
That
for
comp
Mr.
pick
Irrelevant.
did.
So whenever CJ Beathard's name is mentioned, we hold it in high esteem. So that out of the way, real quick side note. Second thing I'm looking for with a young Mr. Jacob Cowing is I there's certain plays that I want to see in the preseason right away. I want him to run out for the swing pass and we fake it, and now it's a deep ball to someone else. Like something
Yeah.
like that. Get him in motion, right? You mentioned not getting him jammed. So can we line him up in the backfield and then have him go in motion? We usually are top 3 in the league over the last 5 years of motion, right? No one not too many teams run more motion than we do. So we know that's going to be part of it. So put Jacob in motion then and get him going. We don't want to get him jammed, obviously. So those are some things that Kyle can do, right? I think that if he
Yeah.
notices, like, hey, and maybe he'll start to see, like, hey, put him out there if he gets jammed. But if not, if he struggles a little bit, okay, there's 93 ways to get him the ball still, using motion, using different things, swing pass, you know, getting him the ball in space and things like that. And good point. Randy says brought us Kittle because he was his tight end. So yes, big shout out to CJ Beathard,
He did.
coming from a good football family. So yes, thank you. Okay, do you want to get into a couple questions?
Yeah, we can dive into those real quick.
And to remind
Another
people,
thing that
make sure you give us some questions here. Send us questions here. We got a couple here to go through, but send us your questions now is a good time that we're kind of in that slow period, right? With not a ton going on, even in the NFL. So if you have questions about the roster, where it stands right now, thoughts on the upcoming season, thoughts on the upcoming training camp, and all those types of things, who you're looking for as far as certain players on the roster. But Invader had a good question, I thought.
yeah, which is there a player on the roster that can defeat Brendel in training in the center in camp for the center position? And I think that's going to be one of the most interesting battles to watch. People always love to get into quarterback stats, training camp stats for the days, and they love to get into some of the other stuff. But for me, the spiciest battles are always usually on the in the trenches and on the lines. And I think what you're going to see is the 49ers are looking to get their best three interior guys on the line, which are going to be some sort of combination. It's going to be I think a four-way battle between Banks, Feliciano, Puni, and then Brendel. And so whatever the best four combination of those guys are, or best three combination, I think that's what you're going to see. And then the leftover player is going to be a swing player at those spots. So, like for example, what I think you're going to see is I think Banks has got that left guard position locked down. So it's really a three-way battle for center and right guard. I think you're going to see Feliciano get reps there at center. I think you're going to see Puni get reps there at center. I think you might even see Jarrett Kingston get some reps there at center. We'll see where he comes along. But I think Puni is the guy who I think has has the leg up as far as where that battle is right now. And they're going to see where does Puni give you a better upgrade over? Is it going to be Feliciano at guard or is it going to be Brendel at center? What's the level of upgrade that you're getting? If it's a marginal upgrade over Brendel and a little bit better of an upgrade over Feliciano, I think you see him at right guard. If again he's doing better at center and Feliciano is doing really good at right guard, then I think or whoever does better. If you may even see him do really well at right guard and not so good at center, and then they're going to give Feliciano some shots and see if he can handle the center duties. He's been in the scheme for a little while, so I think you're going to see that's something to watch as far as who are the best three to come out or best two to come out for those spots of those three guys. That's what I see as the training camp battle, kind of shaking out as to what goes on there. And so I really, in my ideal world, we don't see Brendel get on the field. I think where it's kind of I think understanding rookie players at center and all the things they have to handle. I think the ideal world for the 49ers is that Puni plays guard, plays right guard, Feliciano kicks into center, and that's where we roll. I think Feliciano does a better job of getting to the second level, and that in the run game is absolutely huge for what we do in the run game.
Yeah. um, Tobias England. I haven't seen Tobias in the chat before. Welcome, man. I hope Puni or someone young plays center so Purdy gets a center to trust the next 10 years. Like, it would be great
Yeah,
to get that. Like, I live in Colts country, and, Jeff Saturday was their guy, and he was so much their guy that they gifted him the team for half a year to run. He was their interim
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, coach. Like, that was, pretty cool that they did for him. Like, it would be great to get that guy where it's just known he's a lock, right? Like, every year, yep, we got Old
yeah.
Faithful.
The biggest hesitation I have with that isn't as much my hesitation. It's just looking at Kyle Shanahan's track record of trusting rookie centers. Is that he has a really hard time trusting rookie centers for
It's a
all the
lot.
new things that they're going to see. So, and yes, Lisa, we did get the undrafted center from Michigan.
Michigan, yep.
Um, and so he's another guy in the mix. Um, he has an outside chance right now is where it is that I think if you're looking at who's there, he's going to really have to show something over these mini camps and OTAs to make them feel like he's a guy that we're going to give more than third team reps to as training camp approaches. So again, this goes back to the Atlanta days. Is that there's some really interesting insights that Alex Mack and Matt Ryan gave with Kyle Shanahan and the center, for example, is that they talked in a number of interviews about how much the sorry I only got like 5 hours of sleep last night. They gave me a massive steroid shot yesterday. So, a little bit of a sidebar here. I've been touting White Oak Pastures for a while. We love White Oak Pastures. I haven't been to the doctor, except I did have to go yesterday. Now, it wasn't because I got sick. So this isn't because of White Oak Pastures. I'm gonna tell you, yeah, it's still good. I am
Yikes,
still
yeah.
having my undefeated streak as far as against sickness, longer than it's ever been since I've been in Alabama. Because we got pollen and weird weather patterns and all sorts of crud that goes around everywhere. I ended up, and I told Adam I wouldn't send him pictures, so it's on the other side of my arm. So as long as I'm not flipping my arm around, you guys are fine. You don't see all the nastiness that's on my arm. I was doing some yard work, got into a bush that I had dealt with before, but I didn't realize it was really horrible. Apparently, because I was always wearing long sleeves because it was more in the springtime. It was really hot, and I was doing some clearing and I was wearing a sleeveless shirt, and I thought that I had disrupted some poor spider or bug's home and got eaten up by a bug. I had like 14 bumps on my arm that looked just like a bug bite. Well, after about day 6, they started turning into a lot of multiple blisters, and one of them was on the inside of my elbow where it's rubbing all the time, and I got a secondary infection there. I was like, I need to go to the doctor before this turns sepsis. And again, I was thinking these were bug bites. Went to the doctor, and he knew what it was immediately. Said it's actually worse than poison oak as far as the how hard it is. I can tell you it's rough. It itches all the time. So they gave me a massive steroid shot yesterday. He goes, that's what we're gonna do, is do a massive steroid shot. It was the biggest steroid shot I've gotten so far. So I was up till like 2 in the morning, just wide open, awake. Then again awake at like 6 in the morning. So my brain's not functioning fully well. And you give somebody with ADHD some like steroids, some corticosteroids, were very hard to nail down on some stuff. So yes, but I think when you look at the history, Kyle Shanahan there, Alex Mack, Matt Ryan, they've both talked in length about how Alex Mack handled all the protections. He handled so much of the run assignments that those were all things determined by the center. And so, um, what what happens here in this offense is you're going to, like in the Super Bowl, you go against somebody like Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to present all these different threats in the rush. And so you have to be able to identify where are your numbers, where are your threats coming from, and hand out some pass blocking duties in that strength in that role. So that's a lot to ask for a rookie center, especially if this is a guy if it's somebody who's played tackle before and they're having to come in and now identify all these different fronts they're going against, know who's got what, and hand out those assignments. That's a lot to ask for a rookie guy when he's going to see fronts that he has not seen in his life. Um, and maybe has only gotten a handful of reps against it in practice all year, and maybe in the game plan leading up. So Kyle Shanahan is very reticent about trusting rookies in those positions. So that's where I'm looking at, okay, is our best case scenario for me is I just don't see Kyle Shanahan trusting Dominic Puni week 1 at center. I just don't see it happening. He would have to completely blow him away. Now, that's why I think the best case scenario is he plays right guard and you get Feliciano playing center, who I think gives you an upgrade as ability over Brendel. It comes down to can he handle the mental side of it. So, good question here from Kali. He says, was Brendel responsible for making that kind call at the O-line where it left Jones unblocked? No, that was not a situation where the call was necessarily wrong. It's a situation where the way that the call was executed was wrong. So it's easy to say, and I've been hard on Kyle Shanahan about this, like you have too many free rushers. And this is where again the Pearsall pick makes more sense to me, is that you're adding another man beater who's not Christian McCaffrey, who's able to be in, who then you can leave Christian McCaffrey on some more check and releases where you're able to account for more of these free rushers against man coverage. That's what we really struggled with. It was like zero blitz, kind of a thing, or just a cover one where they were manufacturing a free blitz, and you you only have one guy really, and you're trying to get Christian McCaffrey out there because you want more than one option to beat man coverage. And so they're getting a free rusher. And so it was a situation they were going to have a free rusher. They presented more threats to one side, forced the line side. And ideally, in an ideal world, you would have is that Christian McCaffrey's going to stay in there. And if they bring that extra element to have a 3-on-2 on the right side, that he's going to be able to pick up one of those elements. Problem was Burford on that. If somebody was going to come late, that he was supposed to let the linebacker who was coming late go and pick up Chris Jones, and he didn't. He tried to pick up the late blitzing linebacker, and he let Chris Jones go free. So that's where that's what happened there. That was not necessarily on Brendel. The biggest thing with Brendel to me is not even the pass blocking side of it. It's the run blocking side. There were so many runs, so many of these stretch zone runs where if he could pick up the backside trailing backer, that we're talking about explosive runs, like explosive diarrhea, just get away from you runs that they're gone, and it's the runs forever. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I totally surprised Adam with that one. I'm telling you, I'm only on 4.5 hours of sleep, but you get these explosive runs that are massive. And so now just think about all these words now in with what I said earlier. It just all makes sense now. But Kyle Shanahan loves that, and we're so close. And it's ever since, really since Weston Richburg has we lost him, that we have not been able to produce those kind of runs at the same frequency, even though we've improved the running back talent. Because if you think about all the explosive runs that we had with guys like Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, we, Raheem Mostert is a blue chip talent. He just can't stay healthy. But we had these guys in rotation, and we used to get some explosive runs with Matt Breida all the time and Tevin Coleman. Now we've got Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell's been very, very explosive. Jordan Mason can be really explosive. You're getting those opportunities, but you're not hitting on them because, again, ever since we've lost Western Richburg, we have not had that speed and ability to get to the second level with consistency that we have had before. we had in the past from the center position. That is really big. But also want to take a quick moment out to give a huge shout out. Thank you
Yes.
to Zach Shrout, the man. He's working on some software upgrades on the F-35 flight sim unit. He, like I told y'all, he is a national hero. He's a treasure there, working hard on that stuff. They're producing down in Texas. We know where that assembly line is. It's deep in the heart of redneck country where I love the idea that we're building like the most top secret and secure fighter planes in the world in the middle of Texas. Like if anybody was to try and get there, they got to go through a sea of rednecks with a whole bunch of guns. So that's just amazing. Um,
Yeah. Thank
but
you so much,
but
Zach.
and he said I
Awesome.
snuck a 49er sticker on the seat. Oh, we need some JD 49 stickers. That is amazing. So he's got a 40, he's repping that 49er sticker on a flight sim seat. So these pilots that are going to be training, they're going to be sitting repping the 49ers. I love it. Thank you so much, Zach, for all your work for the country and everything, and being such an amazing friend of the channel. Zach is awesome. We love Zach around here. So thank you so much for that super chat and bringing
Big
it
time.
in. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that I think that's kind of where I'm at with the center position and that kind of ideas.
Speaking of friend of the channel, and he mentioned stickers, that is a great segue. I wanted to also thank our buddies at Power Brand Systems because
Yes.
I have been talking to Christian from over there. In our description here is the link at powerbrandsystems.com. And I wanted to tell you a couple things. One is regarding stickers. Christian will be the guy that will help us do this because he's the one that helps us with the website, John Chapman's as well. And what they do that I really love is that they find out what your biggest needs are, and then through website building and all other solutions, they can really help you set up things. And so when we talk about something simple like Zach mentioned, stickers, dead serious. This will now happen through Christian's help because on the and he's in the and there he is in the chat right now, PB Systems. And the way this happens is we simply say, "Hey man, the people have spoken. We need stickers." Then he says, "Okay, great. I'll create a link and they'll click here for your gear and stickers and whatever." And he'll make that happen. So we are very thankful to him. I'm working on some other projects that actually you guys are going to love that I will share as we get closer. And PB Systems, they are my point people for getting that done. Again, some projects that I'm working on are going to be really fun, and you guys are going to like it because you're awesome Niner fans and you're going to like some of these projects that I'm working on. So stay tuned. But big shout out to PB Systems. There was another question that I wanted to get to from, I believe it was in Invader, talking about Barch. That Forster seems pretty high on Barch, and how does he? So what do you think about Barch?
I haven't looked into him a whole lot again. He's an undrafted guy. I think what we've seen is he fits the mold of what they like from offensive linemen, and uh, if he's able to get in there and really push somebody, I think it's a win-win. It's an outside chance. I don't ever really think Forster has ever not been high on a guy that's on their roster at the time. So
That's fair.
that's one of those that's hard to tell. Um, I hope, I hope that he is able to get in there and really push something. Is it realistic? I don't know. We'll see. He's going to be one that, is more like I'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, again, I also want to give a huge thank you to all of our coaching staff members over at JFA49.com. Again, put together by Christian Gomez and his team. They do a phenomenal job. Adam was pumping them. PB Systems. You can go to powerbrandsystems.com/JohnnyDell and check it out. They will expand your reach and help you. And I did just last week upload two more videos, deep scheme dive or scheme deep dive videos in to the members website there, and I was going to show a little bit of a clip of one of these because this was one that I think when I was really thinking about it, it answered some of the questions we have about some of these choice routes, and then I see sometimes not to try and begrudge anybody who's doing a lot of film work and stuff and criticisms against the 49ers passing game. I've seen some questions as far as guys will say, they're running this option route here, and I don't know why they break this way, and I don't know why they throw it. That again, they're looking at it from an offensive executor level. They're not looking at it through the lens of what the defensive players and defensive scheme is. And so I was actually working, kind of covering how we play cover three and how then a lot of teams play this. And so, and Tobias, that is a great idea. So
Yeah.
I'll get to that real quick before I get too sidebarred here. So there's a little segment on this. Can you hear that, Adam? I don't know if the audio is playing through there.
No.
Okay. So what I'm describing here is that there's some different ways of playing cover three. So I'm going to pull this up in my telestrator so I know exactly where it is, and I can kind of walk us through it. I was afraid that the restream interaction wasn't going to be fully what it needed to be to play the clip. What we do is and a lot of teams play of cover three where um, where we're going to carry the seams, and this is where I have a little bit of an issue with some of the criticisms that come off here. So what I'm describing is if a team, and this is what we do, is we run this route up here, and it's called a clearing route, which again I also covered in my part 2 of a route tree video. That you run a clearing route, which has no coverage adjustment, is literally just to run right down the seam, and so what it does is it is meant to pull something. So what teams do, and what I was talking about in this video, is that when that happens, and I had a running back here on the inside, different teams. It's so funny that you say "Don't fear the Reaper" because that was on the radio when I was on my drive here, and all I could think about was Will Ferrell playing cowbell.
I need more cowbell.
So there's a running back here, and these two guys, depending on the team and what they do, this is where the cover three that has really pervaded throughout the league a lot. They have two ways of doing this. If there's a check and release, so the running back checks for pass blocking and then releases out most of the time. And again, this will sometimes change, but most defenses will say this curl flat player is got to run with this seam to a depth. And because if the running back is checking and then releasing, if he's having a check release, then your Mike has got to go pick up the number 3 coming out of the backfield. If the running back just comes straight out of the backfield, a lot of times this Mike has to carry down the seam to protect the seam, and your curl flat player will go and match the running back, the final number 3. What this means, again, sometimes teams, they'll only do it if this running back flares out. They'll have the curl flat guy go pick it up. If he comes straight in, sometimes it's the Mike. And again, it's how do they protect the seam and how do they do this? So when we talk about Kyle Shanahan with a lot of these choice routes, and I've seen people say, this linebacker flew out way over here, and then they still ended up cutting outside and they threw that. Why? Or they say, this guy came inside and they still ran this choice route inside and threw it. Why would they do that? Well, because the choice route is not on against zones like these is not a read versus leverage where you would have like against man coverage where you're going to come out here and if this linebacker's inside, well, then I'm going to break outside. It's not a read like that. It's a read based upon who is protecting the seam. And so whoever's not protecting the seam, you're going to go against that determines where you're going. So, for example, If it's this Mike has to carry the seam, then your running back's going to come in and attack this voided zone. And that's the read of the quarterback. He's reading on that. If it's the curl flat player who goes and protects the seam, now your running back's going to come out and he's going to go attack the voided zone. So that's where these reads come from, and that's what I was talking about here in this video. Was about that and how you defend against that, and that really comes down to these guys understanding their film study from the defensive perspective of how you play these. So these are common ways that teams will play cover three, and then now you're seeing the Shanahan counter to that and what people always talk about how Shanahan will will attack the coverage rules of the defense and exploit the coverage rules of the defense. And that's what I was kind of talking here. I know I was talking about our defense, but I just had to sidebar there because it made sense to tie this together when I was talking about our cover three about why we run these. Because I've seen several people, high level football people, that again have only operated from the offensive side of the ball, criticize them and say, this guy ran up here and this guy came inside. Why did they do this? Well, you have to understand it's about scheme versus scheme and what Kyle Shanahan is doing. So that's there on the members website. Working on some more stuff with there. We're gonna get out of here, and I'm probably gonna be working on a wide 9 front video because I was gonna jump into some cover 4 stuff, and then I've decided I need to cover our base front so that people can understand how some of these run fits change with the coverages on the back end. So there's a great question here from Mr. England who is some basic videos for Europeans so we can understand everything. That's a great idea. We're going to talk about that. I will start producing more of that stuff as well. Now, I did put out a video that I did go through some of the basics of zone coverage. So I spent about 20 minutes talking about you have cover 2 zone, cover 3 zone, cover 4 zone, and I was breaking down what that looks like. Is cover 2 is two deep, 5 underneath, and exactly how many yards each guy is covering in there. And then cover 3 zone is 3 deep, 4 underneath. How many yards each guy is covering and responsible for. Cover 4, which is 4 deep, 3 underneath, and how that works. And then from there, we're going into working through the coverage rules of the specific coverages. So I went over cover 2 zone and Tampa 2 zone, what the differences of those are, that they're not the same. Cover 2 and Tampa 2 zone are not the same. And so talked about what the difference was there. And then this latest video again on cover 3 zone, mainly talking about Rip Liz, which is more of a Nick Saban coverage that has really again permeated throughout the NFL. Now we don't play like Rip Liz like it's been in the purest form of how Nick Saban originally introduced it, which was a pure matching cover 3. We play a matching that turns into spot, if that makes sense, meaning we only carry things to certain depths. We are going to be looking at, as Invader says, the man match quarters breakdown. That is going to be one of the next ones. The cover 4 is going to be probably one of my longer coverage videos because we have man match, we have spot drop cover 4, and we have palms cover 4. So palms cover 4, and then we have tricks cover 4. So those are 4 major forms of cover 4 that we have played over the last 6 years or so. We're seeing more cover 4 coming into the league the last, kind of 6, 7, 8 years. Some of it being some Fangio influence, some of it just being some of the advantages it gives you against certain looks. That as far as being able to protect against so many of these spread offenses. So that's going to be one of the longer videos. I'm putting together all the notes on that too. I'm hoping to get both of those out this week if I can get them done this afternoon. My daughter has her last softball game, or one of her last softball games of the year tonight. So
Nice.
yeah. So
Very
anyways,
cool. Yeah.
a little plug for the channel there, and also a little bit of a explanation there of some of the things we do on offense.
The things that will be coming are amazing. So, yes, thank you, Johnny, for all your hard work. Again, remember to go to powerbrandsystems.com for all your solutions um, online and getting your product out there, things like that. They really are great to work with. Be sure to check out if you have not. I mean, at this point, you're under much obligation to check out jfa49.com. I mean, come on, you've seen some of the gems that we've gone through, that Johnny's gone through. So please share with a friend. Make sure you run up to a stranger that is wearing Niner gear, show them your phone and say, dude, check out this YouTube channel or dudette. Um, and that is the best way that you can always help us. And we will see you next week. Keep in mind as the schedule release, the very first show that we do after the schedule release, we'll kind of have some fun and go into the way too early predictions. It's kind of fun to do that as we look at the schedule, and I can kind of highlight and see what game I'm trying to go to, right? And we can talk through that. So in the meantime, what you need to do is stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.